In this video, we're going to talk about word problems when it comes to fractions, and mainly just multiplying and dividing because that's our 6th grade standard. So we're going to start off by just noticing some common words that we'll see in word problems that have to deal with multiplication and division, and we're going to sort them into the correct columns. So what I would like you to do is pause the video and try to sort these words into the columns. So if you think that word means multiplication, for example, quotient we've learned is the answer to a division problem. So I would write that under the division one and then cross it off on my paper. I want you to pause the video, try the rest on your own, and then resume, and you can always make changes if you got anything wrong. All right, so if we're listening now, we should have these words already sorted. We're just checking our work. Let's just go down the list. So of, when you take like half of the 10 people, you are multiplying. So of means 10 people, and it's when a number of another number. So like half of 10. We're multiplying 1/2 times 10. When you are splitting something up, you are dividing it. Product. So quotient is the answer to a division problem. Product is the answer to multiplication. How many groups? So if your question asks how many groups would there be after splitting something up, that's again going to be division. And then if you are cutting something up, you're dividing it or splitting it into pieces. So that is going to be division as well. Now these do not always work. Every time you see the word of is not always going to mean multiplication. It's when you have like a number of another number or 1/2 of them and they're talking about the students in Miss Lakin's class. It'd be half of whatever 30 or whatever it is. Okay, so a number of another number. I like to teach a word problem strategy called cubes. I'm sure you've learned different word problem strategies. Whatever works for you is okay, but if you don't have a word problem strategy, you can always use this one. So when we were looking at a word problem, we are going to circle important numbers and labels. So first thing we're going to do, then we're going to underline the question. What is that question asking? And that's super important because when we get our answer needs to answer that question. Okay, so we can always check that way. We're going to box keywords. So if we see any of these words up here or any word that tells us which operation, multiplication or division we're going to use, we're going to box that. We want to eliminate any extra information. So sometimes they just give you extra facts that don't really matter. You can just cross it off and eliminate it. Then you're going to evaluate what steps am I going to take? And these keywords are going to help you decide that. Last but not least, we would solve it and check our answer. Does it make sense? Is always my check for my answer. Let's go through some examples. Of the 40 students who auditioned for the school play, 3/4 of them were called back for a second audition. How many students were called back for another audition? So we have 40 students circling important numbers and labels. 3/4 of them were called back. Our question is how many students were called back? All right, our key word here is 3/4 of them because it's being 3/4 of those 40 students. And when we have a number of another number, it's going to be multiplication because they're asking us to find 3/4 of the 40 students. And that word of 9 times out of 10 means multiplication. 10 times out of 10 when it's a number of another number. Okay, multiplication. So first thing you have to do is make 40 into a fraction. So we make 3/4 of is times 40. We make into a fraction by putting a 1 under it. Then we can multiply across 3 times 40 if you're not sure what that is. Pull it to the side. 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Multiply our denominators, 4 times 1, 4. Now this can be simplified, again, if you're not sure how. That fraction bar is division, so we can take our top number divided by our bottom number. So we can take 120 and divide it by 4. Ask ourselves how many times does 4 go into 1? 0. How many times does 4 go into 12? 3 times, because 4 times 3 is 12. Bring down our 0. How many times can 4 go into 0? 0. And we have no more numbers to bring down, so we are good. So it is going to be, we're dividing both of them by 4. 120 divided by 4 is equal to 30. Whoa. Students. So I don't know why this is not recognizing very well today. So 3/4 of 40 students is going to be 30 students. Now we answer, does that make sense? Well, 3/4 I know is more than half, and 30 is more than half of 40. So it does make sense. And are we answering the question, how many students were called back for another addition? 30 students were called back for another addition. So it makes sense. Okay. Alina made 5 cups of Kool-Aid. She wants to pour it into glasses that will hold half a cup. How many glasses will she be able to fill with Kool-Aid? So she made 5 cups of Kool-Aid. She wants to pour it in a glass that will hold half of a cup. So that's just like one big circle right there. Question, how many glasses will she be able to fill? So she wants to pour this 5 cups of Kool-Aid. And what pour basically means is that she wants to split it up, right? She wants to pour it into those glasses. She wants to split it up into those glasses. So those are going to be our keywords right here, because when we split something, or when we cut it up or divide it into groups, which we are doing, we are going to be dividing. Okay, we always start with what she has. So she has 5 cups of Kool-Aid. And that 5 cups of Kool-Aid is getting divided into half cups. And we want to know how many half cups can fit into that 5 cups of Kool-Aid. Right. So we are going to make 5 into a fraction by putting 5 over 1 and dividing it by 1/2. When we divide fractions, we keep, change, flip. So we need to change it into a multiplication problem. Keep the first fraction the same. Change division to multiplication. Flip 1/2 into 2 over 1. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1. 10 over 1, remember that's just the same thing as a whole number because anything divided by 1 is just itself. So our answer would be 10 glasses. Now we check. Does that make sense? How many glasses will she be able to fill with Kool-Aid? 10 glasses. That does make sense to answer the question. She had 5 cups of Kool-Aid and she's filling them each a half. Okay, so with 1 cup of Kool-Aid, she's going to get 2 glasses out of it, right? So it does make sense that we'd be able to fill 10 glasses because for every 1 cup, she's going to be able to fill 2 cups or 2 glasses. All right, so that does make sense. If you're feeling comfortable, I want you to pause this video, try these 2 on your own and see if you can figure out if they're multiplication or division. At any time, if you get stuck, you can just resume the video and check and catch up with where I'm at. Brennan has 3/4 of a pie left. He wants to split the pie with 3 of his friends. How much of the pie will each person get? Okay, so we always start, that split means divide. So he's splitting up this pie, meaning he's dividing it with his 3 friends. We always start with what he has. So he has 3/4 of a pie. He's going to split that, so he's going to divide that by 3 because he wants to share that 3/4 of a pie with 3 of his friends. First thing we do is make that 3 into a fraction by putting a 1 under it. Then we keep, change, flip. So we turn it into 3/4 times, keep first fraction the same, change to multiplication, flip 3 over 1 to its reciprocal, which is 1 over 3. We multiply across, so 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So 3/12 is how much each person will get, but that can be simplified. So we look at these 2 numbers and we say, what can both of those numbers be divided by? Well, I know 3 can only be divided by 3 and 1. Can 12 be divided by 3? Yes, it can. So we can divide them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Final answer here would be 1/4 of the pie. Okay, does that make sense? So he has 3/4 of a pie. He wants to split it with his 3 friends. How much pie would each person get? 1/4. Yeah, because 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. So that does make sense. All right, last one. Chloe bought 60 cookies. She shared a third of them with her friends. How many cookies did she share? Chloe bought 60 cookies. She shared 1/3 of them. So 1/3 of the 60 cookies. That means a number of another number. How many cookies did she share? So she's sharing 1/3 of the 60 cookies. The of means multiplication. So we are going to take 1/3 and multiply it by 60 cookies, and we make that into a fraction by putting 60 over 1, because 60 divided by 1 is just 60, same thing. We multiply across, so we do 1 times 60 is 60, 3 times 1 is 3. 60 divided by 3, or we ask how many times can 3 go into 60. If we're not sure, we can pull it to the side and do the division. 3 can go into 6 twice. Bring down our 0. 3 can go into 0. 0 times, no more numbers to bring down, no remainders. It's going to be 20 cookies. Let's check to make sure that makes sense. Chloe bought 60 cookies. She gave a third of them, so she's dividing them into 3 groups. Okay, how many cookies did she share? Well, 60 divided by 3 is 20. Or if she's sharing 1/3, so one of those 3 groups would be 20 cookies. That does make sense. All right, what we are going to do now is we're going to go on to Schoology, and we are going to, right under where this video is, complete that fraction practice, fraction word problem practice to complete this assignment.